Now, for several years now, world leaders have failed to take any kind of concrete action against climate change. Some have, believe it or not, even denied the science behind climate change. Others have ignored it completely. The result is climate catastrophes that has resulted in destruction of a lot of places where humans in fact live. In the month of November this year, world leaders will have a chance to course correct. They'll meet in Glasgow to review progress on climate action. They'll also set new climate goals about what the targets that they have set so far. Now, youth activists say that world leaders have in fact failed to walk the talk and have described them as dragging their feet on taking any kind of action on climate change. Take a look.
You don't see world leaders getting scolded very often, especially not by teenagers. But looking at the inaction on climate change, some tough love might be a good idea. That's exactly what they got here at the Youth Climate Summit in Milan. It's a warm-up act for the main event in November, the COP26 climate conference in Glasgow. 400 activists from 180 nations are attending the event. Among them is Greta Thunberg. The 18-year-old activist was her furious and assertive self.
But urgently necessary. There is no planet B. There is no planet blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. This is not about some expensive, politically correct green act of bunny hugging or blah, blah, blah. Build back better, blah, blah, blah. Green economy, blah, blah, blah. Net zero by 2050, blah, blah, blah. Net zero by 2050, blah, blah, blah. Net zero, blah, blah, blah. Climate neutral, blah, blah, blah. This is all we hear from our so-called leaders. Words that sound great, but so far has led to no action.
That was a direct swipe at Joe Biden and Boris Johnson. Both men are plugging their new pandemic recovery plans, Build Back Better. And Greta Thunberg clearly is not a fan. She says it is all
blah, 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 blah.
Until now, young people were part of the conversation on climate change, but never the actual policy making. The Milan summit is trying to change that. Recommendations made at this summit will be sent to Glasgow. So are the leaders listening? Well, some of them are.
It was really amazing. First of all, connecting with youths from around the world. This is a great initiative for being able to bring youths across the world, Africa, America, Pacific, to come together and think about how we can save our planet.
Greta Thunberg says the youth activists have been cherry-picked, that world leaders are just pretending to listen. Greta was joined on stage by fellow activist Vanessa Nakate, a 24-year-old from Uganda. Her message was simple. We've seen the promises, we've seen the campaigns, now show us the money.
No more empty conferences. It's time to show us the money. It's time, it's time, it's time. And don't forget to listen to the most affected people and areas. Thank you.
Nakate broke down after the speech. Her continent, Africa, is the lowest carbon emitter. But the effects of climate change ravage the continent. This is a crisis that has no borders, no nationality. Yet, these concepts are hampering our fight against climate change. To be fair, world leaders are making progress, or at least trying to. Joe Biden hosted a climate summit earlier this year. Some major commitments were announced, but have they grasped the urgency of this crisis? That's what these young activists are asking.
Did you hear me? What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it?
World leaders are still talking about roadmaps and targets. The problem is, this isn't an issue for the future. Climate change is already here. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.